from my hometown in Lakewood who walked head-on into a train on the tracks where I live next to. No one knows why. And unfortunately, that's just who we know of. That's just the tip of the iceberg, because quite honestly, what we're discovering from all these terrible tragedies and murders is that our reporting system is broken. The way that first responders communicate with the medical examiner, who communicate with the media, who then communicate with the public, that system of communication is designed to erase trans people. Like how we're erased in life, guess what? It happens in death too. Misgendered and dead named, the final indignity, you can't even say anything about it. And then guess what? No one knows it happened. The numbers of trans deaths that we're aware of are just a tiny fraction of the true extent of this crisis. I think this is becoming clear now. Cleveland has the worst transphobic rate in the country. We're an epicenter. This tragedy today shows me that we have not, as Clevelanders, done our due diligence to end it. And in fact, it's only worsened. But it's not just here in Cleveland. It's everywhere. Already. We're in early August, and we're already on track. So 2021 is going to be the worst year ever for trans murders? Worse than 2020, worse than the mass violence of last year. And we're already on track to eclipse that. Now, from what I understand, we have a suspect in custody. I'm glad for that. I'm glad that our legal system is taking this seriously. So often, you'll just find a dead trans person and they just, forget about it. Historically, as divinity often tells me, the attitude has been one less. So I am encouraged to find that our public safety officials are trying to find out what happened. And I certainly hope that whoever was responsible for this evil crime is never allowed to hurt anyone again. But I also know that a single conviction is not enough to end this crisis. Honest to God, even putting whoever did this behind bars won't even stop that person from killing other trans people behind bars. Where do you think most trans people are hurt? They say, lock them away, lock up the key, throw away the key. Locking people in cages never helps anything. It makes the world worse. We need to end this demented dependency we have on mass incarceration and stop pretending that that's the answer to all of our problems. Maybe we need to take a hard look at our broken systems and try to fix those instead. Well, unfortunately, those broken systems extend to every facet of life in Greater Cleveland, in America, and in the world. Transphobia, racism, misogyny, homophobia, economic inequality. These problems are rife anywhere you go. And we need to address them all if we're going to end this crisis. Because we can't have this happen again. And while we're talking about systemic change, we need to take on the coalition of hate groups who actively aggress our community every single day. Multi-million-dollar organizations that come into our hometown, our home state, with their lies, with their fear-mongering, with their hatred, with their armies of attorneys and PR spin doctors to demonize, scapegoat, and fear-monger the trans community for things that aren't even real. They say we're a threat to every facet of society. Oh, we're going to destroy sports. We're going to destroy schools. We shouldn't be allowed to have medical care. It's time for these hate groups to understand that this blood is on their hands too. particularly the Alliance Defending Freedom, which draws all of its inspiration from the motherfucking KKK. And that's what they are. They just want to pretend there's something different. They try to hide behind a veneer of respectability and pseudoscience. In a post-truth world, they can just say whatever they want under the guise of science and it's supposedly real. I believe the science is discovered, not manufactured by fear. And of course, we need legal equality. Ohio has no legislation whatsoever at the statewide level to protect discrimination against LGBTQ+ people. That's unacceptable. We can't think that we're going to get anyone to move here, bring their talent here, bring their money here, bring their dreams here, bring their families here, when we don't want the people who are coming here. When we don't treat all of our neighbors with respect and dignity. I don't want to, I'm a native Clevelander, so I'm not going to get run out of my hometown, but I can't expect someone to want to move in to an area that doesn't affirm an individual's inalienable human sanctity. And we need these protections at the federal level too. But true legal equality won't come from just one or two or even a handful of bills, because we also need to take a hard look at the oppressive legal system that already exists, that's been systemically designed to attack the trans community, to attack the black and brown community, particularly at those intersections. We need to look at the misguided laws that we take for granted that demonize, stigmatize, and criminalize our neighbors who rely on sex work for survival. We need to look at the laws that demonize, stigmatize, and criminalize our neighbors who live with HIV. Not a lot of people probably realize that. It's actually, in so many ways, illegal to try to live with HIV. We have all these backwards, evil laws on the books that need to be eradicated.
That's right.
Just the same way that we need to eradicate the evil laws that demonize, stigmatize, and criminalize individuals who suffer from substance dependency. Why in God's name would you throw a human being in a cage who's struggling with addiction and think that their addiction is going to go away? That's the most nonsensical and cruel thing, backwards-minded thing I've ever heard in my life. And the same goes for homelessness. So many times, you'll hear these stories so many times. So many of our neighbors wouldn't even have ever ended up with criminal convictions if they had a safe place to sleep at night. But that's not how we treat our neighbors who don't have a home. Just try to run them out, put them in a cage, make them go away. That's traditionally been the solution, hasn't it? Well, unless we fix all these laws that are intentionally designed to harm the trans community, most particularly our black and brown sisters, we're never going to have true legal equality. Now we need to be real about that too. We need to look at where oppression meets at the intersections of homophobia, transphobia, racism, misogyny, and economic inequality. Because that's where the highest risk is. Those were the forces that stole Tia Marie's life from this world. And we need to unravel that knot of oppression. And guess what? In so doing, if we unravel transphobia, homophobia, racism, misogyny, economic inequality, guess what? We just made a better world for everyone.
That's right.
And I'll tell you what, in the year that I knew Tia Marie, and in the 36 years that she had in this world, she made a better world for everyone. At least everyone she touched. She made my world better. And so we owe it to our fallen neighbor that her loss will not be in vain. And we need to commit ourselves today to move forward in this cause, to put an end to the pain, the suffering, and the injustice that stole her life from her. Because truthfully, though we don't have her in body any longer in this world, I still feel her in spirit. I still feel her right now, just like I feel the spirits of so many of our fallen neighbors. And so let's move forward in power with them, in pride with them, and with purpose with them to make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Ella.